A little boy takes shirt off at the airport.
They're arresting a kid?
It's ridiculous.
And what this guy says the TSA did to him after he shot the video.
It is enough to make you want to stay home for Thanksgiving. Just days before the busiest travel time of the year comes this video of a little boy so shy about being touched by the TSA during an airport pat-down that his dad removed his shirt. Paul Boyd says this video is feeding a growing outrage at the battle between passenger security and individuals' rights.
A child is stripped to the waist as he's searched at an airport by TSA agents.
It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
TSA agents stood by as the boy was patted down at Salt Lake City Airport. His father removed the shirt out of frustration to convince agents the child was not concealing anything. The controversial video has gone viral. It was shot by college student Luke Tate.
What are you thinking as all of this is unfolding before you?
I'm thinking this is crazy. I mean, we're looking basically right here at a young boy with no shirt on getting patted down by TSA agents.
It's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
He says TSA agents asked him to erase his video, but he refused. The video is just one of a growing number of incidents outraging the nation over the new, some say intrusive, security measures. An ABC News producer said she was humiliated during an airport pat-down.
The woman who checked me reached her hands inside my underwear and felt her way around. It was basically worse than going to the gynecologist.
None of this is my opinion. I saw Governor Ridge in 2003, right as Homeland Security was being given cabinet power, announce that they're going to have naked body scanners at every baseball game, every football game. We've played those videos. Homeland Security years later announced it. It's 18-wheeler trailers. They march you through. They put you in a brain scanner and ask you questions. They say, do you have bombs? Or do you have recording equipment? As if recording a concert is terrorism. So they mix terror with just normal activities, having a cell phone that records. And when I was in San Jose last Tuesday, flying back from Santa Cruz, where I gave 2 speeches, I've told the story, but to recap, I sat there for about 20 minutes after I went to the checkpoint. It was a coffee place right past it, inside the gate, watching nothing at 4 checkpoints, at 4 lines, but women and small children in strollers being put through naked body scanners, being bathed in radiation. It violates your 4th Amendment. Now they're saying al-CIA to al-Qaeda women are going to have breast implant bombs. This is what they're telling TSA. So they want chest x-rays, and they've got to squeeze. And it's been on the news. It's called enhanced pat-down. Even if you opt out, they do this. But now they're saying, no, we're going to put you through naked body scanners and do this. They're training a giant Gestapo cadre that it's normal and natural to do this to people. Now, they can get you to submit to this. People getting inside your comfort zone, they can do anything. Now, we've got a Paul Craig Roberts story at Infowars.com. Might is right about all this. But we've got the New York Times today by Joe Sharkey. What's happening is members of the establishment, or wannabes, are finding out about this. It says, opt out of a body scan, then brace yourself. Having been taught by nuns in grade school and later going through military boot camp, I have always disliked uniformed authorities shouting at me. So I was unhappy last week when some security screeners at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago started yelling, opt out! We've got an opt-out! One bellowed about me in a tone that people in my neighborhood in Tucson usually reserved for declaring rattlesnake. Then they go into them squeezing his genitals and everything else. Now, here is the New York Times. Pat-down or full body scan. Security gets more personal in airports. As TSA changes airport pat-down procedures, some ask if security's gone too far. Oh, has it gone too far? Next time you pass through security in some airports around the country, you may face a difficult dilemma. Would you rather have a revealing full body scan or, as some are calling, X-rated pat-down? Some passengers opt out of the full body scan, concerned about the low dose of radiation emitted by the high-tech body scanners that are being put in place at many terminals. And what about your naked body being recorded, or your 4th Amendment? The machines are also able to see beneath clothes and create a photorealistic picture of the passenger's body. Yeah, your genitals, everything. But for those who refuse the scan, an alternative pat-down is about to get equally thorough. Then a day after they reported this, on October 28th last week, they said everybody's going to get a pat-down now. And it's not, and they go on. Starting Friday, the TSA is changing its pat-down procedure. They've already done this. TSA officers used to pat down passengers with the backs of their hands, as if that's okay to rub someone's breast or genitals with the back of your hand. But now they'll use the fronts of their hands to search more than ever before, in some cases touching body parts that were once off limits. Now, it goes on. When I was there, I was watching children and women. And I was watching 3-year-olds with men on little girls putting their hands between their legs. Now, I walked out during the break 15 minutes ago, and Michelle, we're not going to show her for her privacy. She's worked here for 5 years and a great job, customer service. I know her daughters well, played with my children, great people. Michelle went to Colorado for a trip 2 weeks ago with her 2 daughters. And the same thing happened to her. And she said, no, they grabbed my breast, they put their hand between my legs, and they tried it with her daughters, and they did it because she wouldn't be radiated. Now, Michelle, we've only got a few minutes left in this segment. You've got the floor. Tell people the account of this molestation that you and your 1-year-old daughter, or how old is she now?
20 months.
Here, lean forward towards the mic.
She's 20 months.
20 months, so almost 2 years, and how old? I'm not going to say her name. She's 8 or 9? 8. 8. Okay, same as my son. Let's go over exactly what happened. Describe it as you know what happened.
Okay, so we're walking through security in Denver Airport, and they make you take off your shoes and put everything on the conveyor belt.
You're coming back to Austin.
Coming back to Austin. And after you take off your shoes and put everything on the scanner, they have you walk through a metal detector. Well, after they have you walk through a metal detector, they want you to go to the naked body scanner. Well, I was told here to say I opt out. And so I said, I opt out for me and my children. And so they yelled real loud, we have an opt-out. And so they pulled us off to the side, and they start at your ankle, and they work their way up with hands on both sides of your legs. They get to your private area. They feel your private area, work their way down to your other leg.
Let's be specific. They touched your...
They touched. And it was not back of hand. It was palm.
So this is something your husband would do, but now it's a man. That's the key. You said
it was a male officer that patted me down. I would not allow a male to pat my children down, so they had a female come up.
But think about the taboos they're breaking. A man... I mean, you touch a woman, you walk up in a park and touch a woman on her genitals, you're going to prison.
Exactly.
I mean, that's sexual assault.
And so after they finish the lower half of your body, then they work their way up your sides, and they go down your arms, and then they place their hands on the front and back of you and swipe down. Well, then after that, they feel around your breast. And
we're showing video of the unenhanced, where they do the back of the hands and it's light.
Right.
But it's all about them getting in your comfort zone and training them to do it. And now you went through the enhanced full body pat down.
Right, and this was the 24th of October, so it was actually before they supposedly started.
Yeah, but they've been beta testing it for 2 years. So what specifically did they do to your breast?
They grab them from at the top, and they feel their way around the whole breast, all the way under, all the way around, in a complete circle, and...
I've seen that on the news.
Right, and it was totally uncomfortable. Like you said, that's something that your significant other should do to you.
Well, I mean, if your wife's not even in the mood, your wife gets mad. I mean, this is I mean, I'm sorry to get graphic here, but I mean, if mama ain't in the mood, you're going to get slapped even if you're her husband.
Right.
I mean, I'm just getting down to nitty-gritty here. Please continue.
And then the gentleman that did that to me, he was moving on to my 8-year-old, and I told him, I want a woman to pat down my children, because I have 2 girls, and like you said, they're 20 months and 8 years old, and I was not going to allow a male to pat down my children. So they did the same thing to my kids as they did to me.
This is incredible humiliation.
And they're children.
They were sexually assaulted, Michelle. We need to sue them. Maybe we should try to finance that. We need to stand up against these people.
And it was horrible. I mean, my 8-year-old, she was like, Mom, why do they do that? It's just like they say it's for security.
And now she's traumatized to accept this in life.
Right. And I said, no one, I had to explain to her that it's not okay for anyone to touch you that way. We're going through security, and with all the terrorism that's going on, they feel that this is what needs to be done.
And even in the Infowars.com audience, you've been back for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
You hadn't told me till you heard me talking about it today.
Right.
We're so conditioned, even myself, that it's just like you didn't even think to tell me until you heard me talk about it.
Right, right. And not only after they patted us down with their hands, mind you, we walked through the metal detector first before they did this.
This is about government perverts having their way.
Right. They took the wand and then went over our body with the wand as well after all that. So we went through pretty much like 3 forms of security just to...
Well, this is slave training. So your 20-month-old daughter, Tiny, your 8-year-old daughter, and you, a woman, did something that only your husband would do to you and wouldn't do to your children. If he did it to your children, he'd go to jail. I mean, this is outrageous, and they do it. Imagine what's coming next, Michelle.
Right. It's scary. It really is. It makes me not want to fly anymore. That was the first time me and my children had ever flown in our life. And to go through something like that makes me not want to do it anymore, you know, because...
Hey, my wife hadn't flown in almost 9 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're like, well, can we go somewhere? Couldn't we do something? No, but I'm sorry. I mean, because you controlled yourself. But imagine, I don't think I could. My 2.5-year-old daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, my son, men grabbing their genitals. I mean, and we just like, oh, that's what we do to fight Al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, Anwar al-Awlaki's hanging out at the Pentagon.
Right. That's horrible. It really is.
Well, Michelle, anything else you want to add to this?
No. I'm just glad to get my story out there so everyone can hear that it is going on out there, and it personally happened to me and my family. And so I just warn everyone, you know, if you can get around flying, I would.
Well, the problem is they're coming out with mobile scanners. They're in the courthouses. You go to pay a ticket, they want to do it now.
Yeah.
But people sued in Denver, and they stopped scanning 18 and under because it violates child porn laws.
Yeah, they wanted my children to walk through the naked body scanner.
Oh, no, I was in San Jose last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It was only women and children because they think you'll submit.
Yeah, and I saw all these people just willingly going through it. And, you know, I don't really know much about the naked body scanners other than what I've heard up here. And I knew, and so I spoke out to someone here at work, and he said, you have the option to opt out, which I didn't even know that I had that option until he told me. And so, you know, flying from Austin to Denver, security's easy to get through, but coming home...
But they're coming to Austin next year.
Yeah, so, but coming home, it was pretty...
Well, if we give in to them here, we'll give in to them everywhere. And we don't have a lot of money in this operation. A civil rights lawsuit would cost a lot, and then they claim, you know, it's exempt because of terror. But I think people need to start suing. I mean, come on. Come on, folks. It has nothing to do with turban men in caves. 20-month-old little girls having people touch their genitals. I mean, come on. And again, we're showing right here on TV just the year-old first level. See how it's always more, Michelle?
Yeah. It was not back of the hand like they're showing. It was.
Oh, he just grabbed her breast right there.
Yes, and cupped it. See, that's exactly what they did to myself.
And they tell us on TV it's regular for men in uniforms to grab your wife's genitals and breast and your baby daughter. This is freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing. We're going to come back and take a few final phone calls. Michelle, this has been a nightmare interview, but at least you had the courage to talk about it. We've got to stand up against this Nazi takeover. They're training us and conditioning us to accept them in our comfort zones. They are the terrorists.
It's not about justice. It's not about agenda. It's not about mobilizing people. It's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.